What's going on, Cancer? And welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and I hope you're having a great week so far. So for those of you who are returning, welcome back, Soul Tribe. I appreciate your subscriptions, your likes, and shares. Your support really is just the best, Cancer. And it keeps us growing. And for those of you who are new, welcome. I'm happy how yourself has brought you here. We are in for an amazing journey. Cause it's General Energy Weekly Spread. Or something like that, Cancer. But with this weekly spread, whenever you happen to come across this video, there may be some messages in here for you. And just so you're all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one. So take what resonates with you, leave the rest with me, and never force a reading on a situation, okay? So with all that being said, let's jump into it. Your space has been cleansed. Crystals, feeling lovely. Just great energy all around here, Cancer. So I'm going to pull a few oracle cards from this deck here, and then we will get some details with the tarot. But before we jump into this thing, these readings that I do, they're not gender-specific readings, so apply these energies to people as they make sense for your situations, okay? And in case of y'all were curious, the decks that I'm working with, I've included links for them down in the description box below, so definitely check that out if you're interested. But also down below are some links for some other readers that I like watching Cancer, so definitely check them out. Very intuitive group. One of them's a Cancer, so show them some love. But let's get to your first card here. Ooh, I'm with it. So you got the 9th card of Taurus here, which is Still card. And with this card, this is a card of refinement, taste, culture, style, fine-tune, concentrate, develops over time, purify, filter, draw out, infusion, spirits, alcohol, perfume, reduction, and cultivation. Interesting, Cancer. So the energy that's coming through here is the alcohol. And it might be last call at Cancer. Because maybe for some, you know, where... And listen, Cancer, I'm not saying that you can't go out there, go to the club, and have yourself a good old time. But we do want to... I'm getting very kind of like temperance vibes here, where we want to make sure that we're doing things in moderation. And this is not just with alcohol. This is with anything, Cancer. This could be with food. This could be with any other sort of like recreation, Cancer. Or this could be with maybe even people or gambling. You know, it's a number of things. It's like a balance of... I'm getting like the Temperance and the Devil card. Because if things, you know, if we're practicing things in moderation, then when we get to that Devil energy, you know, when we're really kind of tested, it's a lot easier to manage that stuff than when things are out of balance in the Temperance, and then we got a problem with the Devil, you know, because when we tend to overindulge on anything, Cancer, there may be a sign that there's something deeper that may be wrong. There's something that we may be avoiding, you know, when we want to be mindful of escapism. And I feel like especially, too, because Neptune is retrograde for, till the 6th of December, and this is just even just in general, but especially during this time, because you may feel a little more susceptible to those types of things, and it's paying attention to how those things affect you, Cancer. And I feel like where any of the signs, you know, are susceptible to this. I feel like water signs need to be more especially careful, because we do feel to such a degree, you know, and we are very emotional, very intuitive, and when you're blocking out your senses and not dealing with things, that throws your intuition off balance, that throws your manifestation, it throws just a whole number of things, Cancer. And take it from me, there was a period of time where I kind of got lost in it for a while, and it's you just sort of your just life just kind of becomes like a fog, you know, and then you're in that sort of murky aspect of Neptune energy. So I feel like we just want to definitely be kind of mindful there, Cancer. But let's get some tarot on this and get some details. Oh, thank you. And look at that. Taurus decided to come up here. Let's see what's going on, Cancer. All right, Cancer. So you have the Ace of Coins and then the Ten of Swords in reverse. And then you have the King of Swords and then the Hierophant upright. And let's talk about Taurus, and Taurus wants to come out here. Because with the Hierophant, I almost feel like with the Hierophant that there may be something here that... Because Cancer, again, when you overindulge, because the Hierophant is like a bridge between the divine and the material realm. And I feel like that connection gets... I don't feel like you necessarily disconnect from source, but I feel like that the connection gets blocked. You know, it prevents you from, like I was saying with the Ace of Coins being in reverse, it prevents you from really kind of seeing the opportunities that are really around you. And the coins deal with more than just like your finances and your manifestation. This deals with your health here too, Cancer. And you know, this isn't medical advice. You always know you're in a judgment-free zone. But this type of stuff does affect you over time, Cancer. It may not seem like a big deal at first, but if this becomes habitual and it just keeps compounding and compounding, it makes the healing process hard. I feel like with the Ten of Swords. And then I almost feel like with this Ten of Swords, it's like the body starts to betray you in a way, because, or at least that's how it feels. And then we kind of miss out on, because I feel that, again, when I feel like when we're overindulging in things, it's because we're trying to escape from something. There may have been a thing here in the past. Maybe we were hurt by someone, or maybe a situation. This could be a childhood thing, you know, however, whenever, and however this may have started. You know, that there's something that we're trying to avoid, and if we're not paying attention, again, we're going to miss that wisdom, you know, with the King of Swords here. And I feel like and I feel like with our sign too, Cancer, because my sun sign's in Cancer, and I get where we feel so much so often, you know, and it just like it because our ruler's the moon, and she does a lot. she does, and it's hard to kind of keep up with those constant changes and fluctuations all the time. And even to Cancer, you know, we're a sign that's also, you know, we're associated with the fourth house, and we're rooted in the past, you know, and we can feel things deeply. And I feel like that sometimes it's just like, you know, the body can, and I'm even just kind of thinking with the King of Swords, it's like he's a very logical figure. And sometimes the mind will do kind of tricky things to kind of block stuff out. And then as those kind of hurts and things come to the surface, we just tend to block. We may want to try to block that stuff out. But I feel like it's one of those things, you got to feel this stuff in order to heal it. Otherwise, we're just adding problem onto problem onto problem. So, all right, Cancer. Just something to think about there. Let's get some tea. Let's hydrate. You know, that's something too, Cancer. And again, not medical advice, but make sure you're staying hydrated with all that alcohol. But let's get another tarot or another oracle on the mix. Let's see what's going on here, Cancer. Interesting. All right, so you have the fifth card of Leo's here, which is the Dynamite card. And with this card, this is a card of excitement, passion, action, suspense, destroy, powder keg, fantastic, energetic, breakup, catalyst for change, explosive, short fuse, firecracker, blast, sudden, unexpected, and fast. In Cancer, the energy that's coming through here is the catalyst for change. And I just feel like for some, if things have gotten out of line here, you know, there is... This catalyst for change is almost kind of giving me sort of like tower vibes. That if we're not mindful, if we're not exercising temperance, then First, because I like to say that higher self usually likes to keep tower moments kind of internal for us to kind of take that initiative for change. But if we keep ignoring these signs, then something's going to happen in order that's going to force you to change. And you can resist this as much as you want, Cancer. That's the lovely thing about this journey is that we have free will, but it's a double-edged sword depending on what that means. And if we're not willing, if something is no longer because we have a Cancer, we're in such a heavy retrograde period right now, and change is going to be the name of the game, especially if it's something that is holding us back. I'm getting 8 of Cups is kind of coming through. 7 of Cups, even 3 of Cups. Just talking about this type of stuff here, and Saturn's asking for change. Pluto, Neptune. Like a lot of the planets are pushing us to really embody this better version of ourselves. But the more we resist it, again, the harder that it gets. And I feel like when you have those epiphanies, just like, maybe I do need a break, or maybe things have gotten out of, if you find, who was I talking with? I was just talking with another sign about this, about temptation, Gemini. I was just talking with them about temptations and things, and sometimes that impulse can be kind of hard at first, especially if it's become something that's been ingrained or habitual, or just like, you don't really even think about it. It's interesting to witness. And even to Cancer, depending on how your chart's looking, if you have like any like Pisces placements or 12th house placements, that is especially, you really are even more so kind of susceptible to those types of stuff there. So if there are signs, and this could not even just be the body saying stuff, maybe even like people of saying just like, hey Cancer, you've been okay, you've been maybe kind of going a little ham here as of late, or because I feel like too, and I think I feel like it's sort of getting better, but I feel like a lot of this stuff is so celebrated, and where again there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just like when you're going over, because I feel like a lot of the times, like, because one thing is like we can even paint it a different kind of way, because in like having learned about my chart again, for example, like I have a bunch of Leo in my chart. That's a lot of fun energy, and that's how I painted it as. I was the party animal, the life of one that's just always bringing the fun, whatever that's looking like. You need your vibration raised, sure, bet. And I may not be raising mine, but at least I could help raise it. You get into, it's tricky how the mind can even kind of justify the actions here. But let me get some tarot on this and find out what this change is about here, Cancer. Because even thinking about Taurus energy too, they're about security and things. And Cancer, this can affect your security in different kind of ways, whether this be self-esteem, like if it's like gambling, that can affect your financial, just there's so many things that we can just this domino effect that can happen here. But let me get your cards. All right, thank you. Interesting. All right, Cancer. Speaking of Pluto, we talked about that. We have the Judgment card in reverse here, and then we have the 2 of Wands, the 9 of Cups, and then the King of Coins upright. And with the Judgment card, this is deep change, Cancer. This is the Judgment card is that need to release those things that are no longer serving us a purpose. That it's preventing us, like if we're stuck here at the Judgment card, there's something here that's preventing us from getting to the state of completion, or finishing a cycle out here. And I feel like too, it's like, it's interesting with the 9 of Cups being here, because the 9 of Cups is kind of like, excuse me, is like a magnet. You know, and it's like it's paying attention to the energy that you attract, because if we're staying in this sort of low vibration, then that's all we're going to attract there, Cancer. And again, that affects your stability, it's going to affect your manifestation, and it's even going to affect, even just with the Two of Wands, you know, just like what choices that you make, you know, just where your energy is directed. It takes up so much, and it just like, it's sneaky at first. It may start as something kind of harmless, and then it just kind of builds and builds and builds and builds, and the next thing you know, it's become a thing. But I feel like with the Judgment card here, this is asking for, it's like this realization here, Cancer. It's just like we're at this kind of precipice here. It's just like, what do we want to do next? Do we want to stay stuck in this cycle and just kind of repeat things again? Or do we want to start working on releasing things and changing the vibration, you know, so that we can get this thing, you know, kind of get the reins back on this chariot here and get things moving. But I think I'm going to get a little bit more on this, maybe a little bit more on the Judgment card. Thank you. That's just gonna hit, Cancer. Interesting. And there's the World. All right, Cancer. So the Judgment card is clarified by the Page of Wands, the World, and then the Sun here. And I like that, because it's like before the Judgment card is the Sun. And I feel like that this energy here with the Sun is like it's shining some light on some things, Cancer. Are you really happy with where things are at right now? Are you happy with the actions that we're taking, you know, as far as with the Page of Wands? Have you been feeling, because I'm almost even kind of was getting with the Two of Wands that this kind of stuff here can even get to this energy of lethargy and things, really kind of make the energy sluggish. And I almost feel like with the World being here, in order to get to this completion here, this is Saturn energy, and there's a need for, Saturn deals with discipline, lessons, karma. Saturn's a hard ass when he's asking for growth. And if we're not putting in that work, then it's going to be hard to achieve this true kind of sunshine here, to really shine as bright as you're meant to, Cancer. And you know, this is a great energy for, if we've noticed things have gotten out of hand, to just sort of like, and you don't have to fit, it's like, no one's saying you just like need to quit everything today, Cancer, but it's just like figuring out how we can get things just more kind of tempered here, you know, because the Sun isn't going to be in Virgo for the next, you know, till the 23rd of next month. And so, you know, this, you know, Virgo deals with, one of the things that's just like, you know, your day-to-day habits, your routines, your health, all of that type of stuff there, Cancer. So it's really kind of evaluating where things are at, where we've been putting our energies, and if things haven't been going the way that we've been feeling, it's just like, how do we change that stuff up? You know, what does that look like, you know? But all right, Cancer. Because I'm even getting with the play with like, even with like the Page of Wands. The Page of Wands is very fun energy, and even when you think about, because I don't know, Cancer, like because it still seems, it almost feels like that we're kind of painting this thing as fun, but I feel like it's like we're trying to force this fun. Maybe for some, it's just like there's this, it's this misconception isn't quite the word I'm looking for, but something along those lines. It's because even thinking too, the Sun is associated with the fifth house that deals with like, you know, fun, creativity, things along those lines, all the good vibes, you know. But it can't just be, in order to get to that good, there needs to be that balance there, needs to be that structure, that but let's get your last card here, Cancer. Thank you. Let's see what's going on here. Interesting, Cancer. All right. So you got the eighth card of Virgos here, which is the Grapes card. And with this card, this is a card of abundance, bearing fruit, harvest, fertility, merriment, prosperity, surplus, fullness, juicy, overindulge, tempting, goodness, plentiful, wealth, and enjoy the fruits of your labor. And the energy that's coming through here, Cancer, is the tempting. And Cancer, I get it. Like, it's, especially if this is something that's resonating with you, because it's, I don't know, Cancer. It's this weird sort of, it's this impulse. The mind is tricky, sometimes. I feel like when it comes to these things, when it gets used to something, and it, I feel like that when you find yourself having those sort of like cravings, and then like even getting to sort of like withdrawals and things. And again, this doesn't just have to be, we're talking broad, Cancer. This doesn't have to be with just alcohol. This could be, again, gambling, drugs, sex, whatever it is. You can always do, even with like, there's always a potential with anything to do something too much. And I feel like when we're feeling tempted by those things, it's just like, what can we do in that moment when those temptations are strongest to kind of break that cycle there, so that we can get moving on, and just to get, just out of this thing and start something new. Something, just kind of, again, just kind of raise that vibration again. But I feel like it starts with changing things. If we notice that if we hang around like certain type of people and they get those impulses, and maybe we don't do those types of things. Or if we're, I don't know, it's like when it's just like really kind of paying attention to those triggers there, Cancer. And because I almost feel like for some, the reason that these overindulgences happen is because of something that's usually in the, like, it's like a past thing, maybe, or something along those lines. Like there's something that we're hiding from, or that we're trying to suppress, or something along those lines, Cancer. But let me get your tarot cards. And I'm just kind of thinking with the King of Swords too, it's just like, as we start learning these getting eyes on like what causes those triggers, then Ten of Swords, we can start healing that stuff. Because the Ten of Swords is a sun in Gemini, and it's like seeing things from that dual perspective there, But all right, Cancer, thank you. All right, last little bit here. Oh, okay. So you have the Page of Swords, the Two of Cups, and then the King of Cups in reverse. And then we have the Four of Swords, and then the Justice card upright here, Cancer. Let's switch back over. Because this is interesting, Cancer. I'm almost kind of feeling with like the Two of Cups. There's this energy that it feels like it's like we're going against what we really feel, but there's this, I don't know, there's this idea of that it's going to be harder to change things than, and bring things back into balance than it really is. It's just like, it's, I don't know, it almost feels like there's this, with the King of Cups, it's like we're kind of, because he's like, normally the King of Cups is like, it's like throned on an ocean, but this King of Cups is like in the depths of the ocean. And Cancer, your energy is similar to the ocean, and I feel that if we've noticed that we're just sort of like drowning in it, whatever this thing is, I feel like there may need an energy to where we may need to just like remove ourselves, take a break, find a way, not necessarily to, I'm almost getting an energy of, it's not necessarily like restricting the beast, because sometimes when we go to those extremes, it's like it makes it hard, Cancer. But I feel like it's like an energy of learning what that beast looks like, learning what that, how that, energy, like paying attention to the cause and effects of those, of how that how that beast operates, you know, and how that affects you in the paying attention to your short term and to your long term, because I feel like that, you know, these short term sort of like feelings are nice in that moment, but it's just like thinking about, like, you know how when you, if you've gone out Cancer and you overindulge and then you wake up next day all hungover and then like, oh my goodness, I'll never drink. One of my favorite lines was, oh my gosh, I'll never drink again until next week. And it's just like, that's, it was just like, but it was like anticipating doing the same thing again and feeling this way, you know. And then you even try to find different ways to kind of counteract that so that you can still do the same type of stuff, but it just like, it becomes like you get to where you're doing a lot, Cancer. And we just want to make sure that, and I love that too, you know, that you got this, that you got both Taurus and Libra here, you know, that, you know, Empress energy is kind of coming through, you know, really kind of affects your abundance, your stability, your, and I almost feel like there really is a need to just kind of just do some self-care there, Cancer. And really, again, just kind of pay attention to how these choices and things really kind of make us feel with the King of Cups, really making that head and heart connection, because it's just like, I'm, you're very impulsive energy. I feel like that's kind of coming through here, but I'm gonna leave that there, Cancer. And you know, one more thing, because just thinking with the Judgment card, you know, that's Pluto. That kind of deals, one of the aspects of Pluto is about dealing with that power, that sense of power. And, you know, I feel like for some, with it being in reverse, that maybe we feel that we don't have the power to do that. But with the Sun here, Cancer, there is the will, but it's just like right now, it's just being just, it feels like it's just being diminished a little bit. It's like we sort of know this thing, but it's taking that initiative to change this stuff there, Cancer. But and two, this is something where, because Libra deals with like relationships, and where I get where it's nice to have that good support system to kind of help you get through this stuff, is got to be something where you need to take action as well. You know, it's, there's all right, Cancer, but yeah, I think I'm gonna leave that there. But if anything resonated with you, Cancer, give it a thumbs up. And share this if you know someone who's maybe kind of struggling with something, or maybe you notice that, because it's sneaky how it happens, because it can happen with all of us, Cancer. You just sort of like maybe dip into the deep end for a little bit, or just like, you know, get introduced to something. It's just, I don't know, Cancer, just if you notice something that's maybe off with one of your Cancerian friends or someone with Cancer in their chart, yeah, share this. And then if you haven't already, subscribe, hit that bell button, get notified on all these videos each week. And then lastly, Cancer, I created a whole other channel specifically for you. That's how much I love you, Cancer. And again, my sun signs in Cancer, but it's called the Chariot and Friends. And I do videos Monday through Friday there. We discuss all the lunar shenanigans. You can hang out with me and Rhonda. It's a good old time, Cancer. And all that housekeeping is down in the description box below. But let me get you surprise cards here. So I can get you out of here. And I actually kind of like that this popped up, because you got the Wheel of Fortune in reverse here, Cancer. You got the Jupiter energy. And one thing that I like talking about with Jupiter is, like I was saying, I think I might have said this earlier, where Jupiter is it's a planet of abundance and things. You know, one of the big things that people like to talk about. The thing is, Jupiter, you know, where yes, he's abundant, he's a little different than Saturn, where Saturn makes you work for the abundance. Jupiter just like, oh, you want abundance? Here you go. But the thing is just like, what vibration are you in? You know, are you high or are you low? Because he's going to give it to you regardless. You know, and that's a tricky thing with Jupiter. You know, and I almost feel like that for some, it's just like how, I don't know if you can see this, like this web here that this figure's in. You know, I feel like maybe for some, it's just like we're caught in this web as opposed to, you know, like building our webs and you're really kind of controlling the abundance that we do attract. But, and even that's fascinating too, Cancer. Because this little gem here, I just kind of, usually before I pick the gems, I just kind of do like a hover, and whichever one kind of resonates, those are the ones that I pick to cover the decks. And this is Carolite. And one of the things with this is about, helps with, like hangovers and detoxification, things along those lines. So that's, another little interesting thing that, and double check that, Cancer. I'm almost positive that's one of the aspects that, this little stone covers, but let me get your oracle card here so I can get you out of here. Thank you. All right, Cancer. And then you got the air card in reverse. And I almost feel like it's like paying attention to, because, you know, air is meant to just to flow freely, you know? And I feel like that, you know, if we get, you know, get into that spiral there, Cancer, start to get lost in those depths there, you know, the air starts to get constricted. And you know how when the air is not able to move in a confined state, it gets stale, it's, you know, it constricts the freedom here. And I feel like it's paying attention to how this stuff, or how these actions and things kind of restrict you in a way, and, you know, could restrict the flow of your energy. And this is something too, this is really a lot to really kind of think about. A lot of this is kind of mental here, Cancer. I feel like when we get into those stuff, you know, when we feel like these things have like this power over us, because the air card, of course, embodies Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. You know, all air energies about that intellect, that thinking. You got King of Swords there, so just something to ruminate on there, Cancer. Go void a course for a little bit, kind of meditate on this stuff, and just pay attention to how this. And I hadn't even realized you got like three kings here, Cancer. So you got more power than you know. It's just it's getting that energy back in balance. But all right, Cancer. But you stay safe out there with any sort of addiction, you know, and any sort of vice, and paying attention to things that we might overindulge in. This could even be, you know, like even overindulging in, like, you know, like really kind of like the I'm just thinking like news, for example, you know, like maybe it's just been a lot of just like been watching a lot of doom, gloom, stressed out thing. It could be a number of stuff, Cancer. You're susceptible to all types of energy, so just be safe out there and raise your vibration through the roof, and be compassionate with yourself, Cancer, when we're dealing with these things, because it's hard, you know, sometimes getting over the stuff, but it's not impossible, you know. Take from me, Cancer, and I will catch you on the next one. Well, I'll catch you on the Chariot Friends, Cancer, tomorrow.